to do is talk about, well, before I show you how to find all the bankruptcies in California, I just want to mention that it can be very lucrative. When I find hidden market properties, just homes with no for sale signs, no ads in the paper, nobody even knows that these homes could be bought, it's because we see them in neighborhoods. You know, when you're riding through a neighborhood, you'll see houses that look distressed, or they may even appear to be vacant, or they may have high grass, or they may have overgrown bushes. But sometimes they're tied up in bankruptcy. And from working the foreclosure business for all these years, I know for a fact bankruptcy is a very popular topic with a person in foreclosure. Not only are we sending letters to people in foreclosure asking if they would like to sell their homes, but also bankruptcy attorneys are sending letters to people in foreclosure, and they're like competing against us, because they're telling these homeowners that if you file bankruptcy, it will stop your house from going up for a foreclosure auction. In other words, they're saying, hey, hire me to file bankruptcy and it will stop the foreclosure process. So foreclosure and bankruptcy work hand in hand, and so a lot of people file bankruptcy because they're about to go into foreclosure, or they're already in foreclosure and their home has been set for auction. So I wanted to show you, I happen to use RealtyTrack, and I'm going to be showing you several other ways to find bankruptcies in the California area. But I just want to show you on RealtyTrack because that's what I use. And so what I can do is I've typed in right here Los Angeles County, and it brings up all the pre-foreclosures. It brings up all the homes that are scheduled to go to auction, and it also gives you a list of all the bank-owned properties in Los Angeles County. Now, if I wanted to, I could put in a city or a zip code and narrow it down, but I like to start out with, you know, the entire county. And so if I was to click on this little thing, well, first of all, I want to show you a map. I just want to show you what it looks like from an aerial view with all the foreclosures. Now, the red balloons are homes scheduled for auction, and the blue balloons are people that have a notice of default filed against them, and the orange balloons are the bank-owned properties. So if you look at this area, and here's Long Beach over here, this particular area, the green balloons are homes that are listed on the MLS or have been, and you can actually zoom out a little bit and get a bigger view of the area. Now, it looks like there's a lot of homes for sale over in the Long Beach area. They're sort of spread out over in this area, and then I can sort of go up a little bit here. But I just want to get an aerial view of what it looks like, and now what I'm going to do is go back to the list, and then there's a filters button, and if you click on filters, you can go over here where it says bankruptcies, and you can put only show, and I like to exclude any listed properties that are in bankruptcy. But once I click only show bankruptcies, I can hit submit search, And here is a list of all the people that are currently in or under bankruptcy. Let me go up here to 50 per page. I want to show 50 addresses per page. And look, that's how many people have filed bankruptcy in the LA County area. Okay? And so if I wanted to, you know, the next website I'm going to show you is how to look at their bankruptcy cases to see if their homes can be bought. Because remember, when a home is in bankruptcy, it cannot be purchased, it can't be auctioned off, a creditor can't even try to collect from that homeowner. They can't, you know, they can't repossess their home, they can't repossess their car, they can't call them and threaten them while they're under bankruptcy. But there is a document that is going to be filed eventually that will allow them to sell and allow you and me to buy. Now, something went wrong here. It somehow changed to Carson, California. So let me go back and put in Los Angeles County, because I know there's got to be a lot more bankruptcies than what we're seeing. And you see, look, that every one of these, see this little button right here says bankruptcy. And just look at that, folks. There's 50 addresses per page. And we're going to go down to the bottom. And there's at least 7 pages. You see, they can only put 50 addresses per page, but there's 7 pages. So there is plenty of bankruptcy leads in Los Angeles County. Now, of course, what I would do is if I lived in, say, Gardena, California, I would just punch in Gardena, California, and I would only work those leads. Because remember, if you were in my Monday night class at Lisa's Investors Association group meeting, I said you should work a 5-mile radius and try to just become the master of a 5-mile radius from your home, or the guy that gave me a ride to the airport last night, which thank you again for doing that. But when he gave me a ride to the airport, he says he lives in a really expensive area, and he doesn't know whether he should work that area. And I said, well, you should work that area, because those homes sell good too. If there's anything distressed, you should work it, but you should pick out another zip code and make that your 5-mile radius, something that you can just work in one specific area. But anyway, I just wanted to show you a county-wide to show you how many bankruptcies there were. Now, there's another website that is free, and it's strictly for I say it's strictly for California. It's a really good website for California, and but it does cover a lot of western states, and that is called www.lpsasap.com. And let me pull that up. Now, what this is this is a fantastic website to find out what happened at the auction. And in California, in Los Angeles County, they have the foreclosure auctions every day of the week, Monday through Friday. So I always encourage my associates to go to the auction to meet cash buyers and to see what they're buying, where they're buying them, and how much are they paying. Because that'll help make you an expert, is if you know what is going on in your area. It's a good way to know what's really happening in your county or your area. Now this website, here's how you use it. You've got to sign up, but I've already signed up, but it's free, but you've just got to have an access login, password. So I'm going to go ahead and click on mine, and I click on this, and then just to make sure that you're not giving other people your password, you have to enter in one of these funny numbers. So I'm going to put in XE7ND. I don't know if that's a D or a P. I don't know. We'll find out, won't we? That worked. Okay, so my next thing is I want to go over here and choose a state, and it says California, okay? And then I want to choose Los Angeles County. And then down here I can choose a date. So what I can use this date for, I can see what was the results of yesterday's auction. So I'm going to click on the 15th, and I'm going to hit search. Now, I just want to make sure that I'm being heard. Can someone type a message to Lisa to find out if everything's working correctly? I mean, before I go into this.
Tony, I know I can hear you, and Alice can as well.
And how about can you see the screen good?
Yes, I can see the screen very well.
All right. Okay, so we're going to move on. So what I've done is I've gone to lpsasap.com, and I put in the state of California, and I put in the county of Los Angeles. I put in yesterday's auction date, and I hit search. Okay, so all right, so I'm going to scroll down. Now what this tells me is that yesterday at 11 o'clock, 243 West 118th Place went up for auction, and it was canceled. And this next one is canceled. The next one is canceled. The next one is canceled. Now, what I usually would do with those, the canceled ones, is I would send a letter to those addresses saying, hey, would you like to sell your house? Because if you think about it, they came within inches of losing their home, okay? So they may say, wow, if we ever get a chance to sell, we better sell. You never know. But that's just another thing. But we're here to talk about bankruptcies, but I do want to show you all the benefits of this free website.
And Tony,
now,
this
the
is
first
Lisa.
5 or 6 properties were, yeah.
Why would a foreclosure be canceled? What are the main reasons for that?
Well, they could be canceled because of bankruptcy or because of a workout plan or a loan modification, or they made up their back payments, or they sold their house. There's all kinds of reasons, but I'm sure the majority of them is the homeowners and the bank have some sort of mutual agreement. They're trying to work it out. And so let me show you some further down the list where it actually says it was postponed because of mutual agreement between the owner and the bank. Now look, now down here, this one on 14536 Walbrook Drive, it actually sold. You see right here the word sold? Okay. Well, it tells you the opening bid was $260. No, it says the loan balance was $265. The opening bid was $283,331, and it sold for $317. Now that tells me that a bunch of people were bidding, because in Los Angeles County, if there's only one bidder, it sells for 1 penny over the opening bid. 1 penny over, because that's always the first bid, is 1 penny over the opening bid. So then the bidding starts. So what this means, folks, is that some investor bought it for $317,000 and he outbid everybody. Now, what I would encourage people to do is do the comps on that, and that'll tell you whether that guy paid 80 cents on the dollar or 90 cents on the dollar or even full price, 100 cents on the dollar. And it gives me an idea of how homes are selling to investors. What are investors doing at the auctions? Are they paying top dollar? Because if we're going to go out and find hidden market properties and we're going to offer to buy bankruptcy homes, if we get them under contract, we may want to wholesale them to these very investors that buy at the auction. So it's a good idea to keep up with how much they're paying and what they're willing to pay for properties. Okay, now we're talking about bankruptcies. So this list will show us how many people filed bankruptcy yesterday. But I just wanted to show you how the site works. It shows the ones that were canceled. It shows the ones that were sold yesterday to investors. And you can see a lot of these, if you're looking, well, what we're looking at is every house, we're looking at the sale status, and it says canceled, sale status canceled. And we're going to scroll down because then we're going to start seeing some bankruptcies. Canceled, 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 sold. Here's one where the opening bid was $360. It sold for $384. By the way, this site is really cool because if you click on the address, it usually shows you a picture of the house and where it's at, you see. So this is where it's at. And then there's the picture of the house. And of course, now that may not be what it really looked like that day because the picture was taken probably 2 years ago. And also, you can use this to look around the neighborhood too. And there's across the street. Look at them bushes over there. All right, so we're going to go back because I want to show you all the people that filed bankruptcy just yesterday at the foreclosure auction. Okay, so that was sold. Oh, here, that was this one we were looking at, but look below it. Here's another one that sold. The opening bid was $385. It sold for $4,015. So that's the kind of investors you're going to meet if you go to the auction, people that have that kind of money. Okay. Now here's one that went back to the bank. That's whenever you see the words back to Benny, you see it here. You see it on this one right here. That went back to the bank. These two properties did in Hawthorne, which is where we were. Okay, now we're going to scroll on down because they usually have all the bankruptcies down at the bottom. Here's another one that went back to the bank. Here's another one. Look, when you ask me why would they be canceled, look right here. It says canceled and it has no reason. Here's another one that was sold. The opening bid for $525, sold for $669. It's just really an awesome site, and I'm sure some of you knew about it, but some didn't. All right, now we're getting into the bankruptcies. You see right there it says the word bankruptcy. As a matter of fact, I've got a little highlighter, so I'm showing you what to look for. So it was postponed because of bankruptcy. And let me get rid of this so I can scroll down some more. Oh no, I got to get rid of those highlights now. Okay. There's another bankruptcy. And you know, there's a little trick to doing this if you really want to find the bankruptcies. There's another one, and if you keep scrolling down, you should see a lot of them. But you know, there's a trick someone taught me that says if you hit Control F and type in the word bankruptcy. I don't know if you guys can see this, but on my screen, the bottom left-hand corner, I'm hitting Control F, and it opens up this little window down there. Lisa, can you see that window where my mouse is?
I can see that, yes.
Okay, if I put in the word bankruptcy, then I could just click this down button and see how it highlights it in green? Up here, on my screen it's green, and then if I click the button, it takes me to the next bankruptcy, and then there's one below it, so if I click this button, it'll take me to that one, and then I click next again, and it takes me to the next one. So far we've seen about, what, 10 of them. There's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I mean, man, that is a lot of people that file bankruptcy. And if you keep seeing down the list, of course, this is county-wide, but that's a lot of bankruptcies in one day. That's how many homes were postponed just because the owner filed bankruptcy. So the point I'm making here is there is no shortage of bankruptcy properties. Now, I've got to teach you how to buy them. So I'm going to open up another website, www.pacer.gov. www.pacer.gov. And it stands for Public Access to Court Electronic Records, and it's an electronic public access service that allows users to obtain case and docket information from federal appellate, district, and bankruptcy courts. And the PACER case locator by the internet is provided by the federal judiciary in keeping with its commitment to providing public access to court information by a centralized service. I think this website was really at first created so attorneys could access this information. But now, you know, it's just public, and I know I've been telling people about it for years. I've been using it myself, but I'm telling you, I think it should be illegal. The information you can get about people's bankruptcy cases, it should not be public, believe me, because this website, it allows you to obtain, if someone files bankruptcy, you can see everybody they owe money to. You can see, and you get their names and addresses, and it shows you every penny they make, every source of income. So let me show you how it works. Now, it doesn't cost anything to be a member, but you do have to register by clicking this button and going through it. It does not cost money to become a member, but it does cost 10 cents per page to view a document. But I'm going to teach you tonight how to use it. But I'm going to show you how it won't hardly cost you a lot of money. It's only like they only bill you by the quarter. And unless you use $15 worth, $15, then they don't even send you a bill. So I very seldom, and I work bankruptcies a lot, I very seldom use it because I know how to use this site with the minimal cost. So it costs me 40 or 50 cents when I'm doing research on a house. Okay, so it's worth the money. Now, let me show you how to use it. Since I've already got a password, the first thing you want to do is go to court links. And then here's all the bankruptcy courts in the United States. And if you knew someone in Snake Navel, Wyoming that filed bankruptcy, you could access their file right from this website. Okay, now it says California Central, Eastern, Northern, Southern. I used to think California Central was LA, Los Angeles, but that may be for downtown in the city. I found that most of the cases I work in Los Angeles County are found under California Central. So if I click on that, the next step is to click Document Filing System. And the next step is to register, type in my username and password. And then hit login. And then my next step is to hit query. And then all I have to do is put in the owner's name. You don't have to fill out all this stuff. All you need is a case number, or all you need is a name, okay? Now, let me go back before we actually do the research. We've got to get a name of someone in bankruptcy. So I'm going back to Realty Track. Now, one thing I want to show you is if you click on the address, let's say if you're using Realty Track, and then if you're not using Realty Track, I'll show you what to do too. But if you click on the address, you scroll down. And look at all the information we have access to. It tells us what foreclosure status is in. Is it in the pre-foreclosure stage, the auction stage? It also gives us the dates, the notices of default or notice of trustee sale was recorded. It gives us the homeowners' names, you see, right here. And it tells when the auction date is supposed to be. And this one was 4/17, so that was today, and they filed bankruptcy. So that postponed the auction. And here's the auctioneer company. This is the trustee that was going to auction it off, and the bank was U.S. Bank. But let's scroll down. There's something else that it shows you that would come in handy for PACER. Right down here it says bankruptcy status, and once that loads, it says this property owner has filed for bankruptcy, and it gives the debtor's name that filed. This is the person that filed, and it also gives you the case number down here. Now, we don't need that. All we need is the owner's name. So real quick, we will go over to PACER and we'll put in that name. So they want the last name here. So then here they want the first name. And then we hit run query. Oops. Did I do something wrong? I tried the old copy and paste. Okay. Now, because I didn't put the first name, it's bringing them all up. So let me go back and put in the first initial. Let's see if that narrows it down. No, doesn't even have an M. Oh, Sometimes if you're not all the way to the left, it doesn't work correctly. So here it is. That's the lady, Mary A. Zachary. Okay, so it says that she filed in 2010. Okay, so let's look at the history of documents. And then we want oldest date first, so we run query. This is her entire bankruptcy case, okay? Now, we don't care about any of those things except this document right here. Let me get my highlighter. The only thing, the way we save money, we don't care about all these other documents. All we care about is this one right here. Motion for relief from stay. Okay? Now, let me explain what that means. If I owe everybody money, everybody on this call, if I owed you money, and you're hassling me, you're calling me, you're threatening me, you're sending me letters saying we're going to repossess your house, we're going to repossess your car. Well, if I file bankruptcy, all of a sudden I'm protected by an invisible shield. You cannot get to me because you cannot penetrate that shield. I'm standing behind a thick shield, and I'm just sticking my tongue out going, nah, 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 you can't touch me. Now, that shield is called automatic stay. Stay, that's what it's called, S-T-A-Y. It's called automatic stay. And that means that I'm protected under automatic stay. So therefore, if I file bankruptcy, the bank is actually going to file a motion for relief from stay. Now, what does that mean? That means the bank is saying, hey, that house is my collateral, so I'm filing a motion to get you to lift the shield or the automatic stay off of the house so we can go through with the auction. Does everybody get that? The bank is filing this motion to get the house released out of the bankruptcy so they can auction it off. So the way we buy these properties is when the bank files this motion, what we need to do is look for the answer. It's usually called the order on motion for relief from stay. You see where it says motion for relief of the automatic stay? So up here on 12/19, they filed a motion for relief, and on 1/18, which is a month later, that's usually how long it takes, this would be the answer. So we're going to read those two documents if they're not, 100 pages long. So let me get rid of my highlighter, and I'm going to open one. Okay, well, let's see. The main document is 13 pages, and I did some other bankruptcy cases earlier, so I'm going to get one where there's not as many pages because it would bore you to death if I went through all them pages. But so here's what you're going to do. See, if the bank files a motion to get the house released, and this document answers the question saying, and this one's only 5 pages, so we're going to see if it's been released, because really that's how you save money using this site. I was going to open the motion, the 13-page document, to show you what the bank is asking and how they ask to get the house back. But the real important thing, the only thing that matters to you and me, is the answer of the motion. And I can look at this right here, and it says order granting motion for relief under the automatic stay. So right there, I already know that this house has been released. Now, folks, write this down. When you're doing a bankruptcy case, you're looking for the order. And if it says it's granted, that house is released from the bankruptcy. But it hasn't been set for auction yet. I mean, you know, so what I'm trying to say is once this document is released, it may take 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years before the bank actually auctions the house off. But this house, because of this document, is no longer under bankruptcy protection, and you can buy it directly from the homeowner. Does everybody get the picture? You're going to buy the home from the homeowner. So let's say that you have 10 or 12 bankruptcies in your zip code. You would want to send letters to them saying, hey, would you like to sell your house? Or, you know, I can show you the type of letter I would use. Now, the reason you're going to do that is because the reason they filed bankruptcy in the first place is to stop the foreclosure. Now, why did they have to file bankruptcy? It's because their bank would not give them a loan modification. Their bank would not do a workout plan with them. They didn't qualify for any of the Obama foreclosure programs like HARP, HAMP, all of those programs, and that's why the homeowner filed bankruptcy. So once this order granting a motion for relief happens, now the house is under the ownership of the homeowner himself until the bank auctions it off. And that owner has the right to sell the house, and they have no other options. Is everybody hearing that? The bank, that means that the homeowner should be motivated to sell your house.
Tony,
yeah, go ahead.
in your experience, do the homeowners generally realize they have that option at this point, or is that something you educate them on?
You basically have to educate them because, see, the bankruptcy court does not tell them. In a minute, we're going to read this document, okay? And so when we read this document, it doesn't say anything about the homeowner has the right to sell. The bankruptcy court doesn't tell them they have the right to sell. So what we do is sometimes the homeowner will say, yes, I would love to sell it if I'm allowed. And there's been times where I've told them, if you feel uncomfortable, call the bankruptcy trustee and ask them if you're allowed to sell the house. Because we've had homeowners do that, and every single time the bankruptcy trustee says, yes, you can sell it. It's out of our hands, and until the bank auctions your house off, they cannot stop you from selling your home. Okay?
Tony, we have another question.
Okay.
Does the homeowner have to sell at the price at which they owe the bank?
Yes. I mean, they don't have, I mean, let's say there's equity in the home, okay? They don't have to sell, I mean, they do have to sell it for a price to pay off the loan unless you and I make a short sale offer. And the first bankruptcy case, house that I bought in this process that you're learning tonight, it was a short sale situation. We had to short sale the lo-
audio. Tony, we still have lost your audio. You sure you're not muted? Let me check you out there. Nope, not muted.
is called the debtor. The movant is called the bank. Okay, so movant, U.S. Bank, as trustee in interest for Bank of America, as trustee and successor by merger to LaSalle Bank, as trustee for the certificate holders of Bear Stearns asset-backed securities. You see how many trustees they have on this? And then here's the trust series, the back series. It is just amazing.
Tony,
anyway, yes.
We lost your audio for just a moment when you scrolled down. Can you repeat what you were just saying there? And then we also have another question that was asking, would the proceeds of the sale, I'm assuming this means if they had equity, affect their bankruptcy?
Okay, what these documents we're about to read usually say is they say, okay, we're going to give you the house. We're going to let the bank auction the house off, but it states in there that if the house sells for more than what the opening bid is, more than what's owed to Bank of America, the excess funds have to be turned over to the bankruptcy court to be distributed amongst other creditors. So let's read one and see if we can see where it says that. Okay, so as to movant, its successors, transferees, and assigns, the stay, which is called 362 Bankruptcy Code, is terminated as to the debtor and the debtor's bankruptcy estate. So that means the automatic stay, that invisible shield, is gone, okay? So it says the motion is granted, okay? And it says, let's go down here, it says movant. Now who's the movant? That's U.S. Bank as trustee for Bank of America. It says they may enforce its remedies to foreclose upon and obtain possession of the property in accordance with applicable non-bankruptcy law. Meaning, you see, they were foreclosing in non-bankruptcy law until those people filed bankruptcy. So this document is saying now that they can go back to doing what they were doing before the bankruptcy was filed. But watch this. Look what it says. It says, they can go ahead and foreclose and obtain possession, but may not pursue any deficiency claim against the debtor or property of the estate except by filing a proof of claim. Okay? Meaning they probably have to, if they want to file a deficiency judgment, which actually, do you know California law does not allow deficiency judgments on people in foreclosure? If you were to read the foreclosure laws for California, it's one of the few states that does not allow deficiency judgments. But I'm sure they file them anyway. They find some other way to do it. Okay. And look, it says the bank, movant, must not conduct a foreclosure sale before the following dates, and it doesn't have any dates. So they can go ahead with this document being filed, they can go ahead and set an auction date, but until that auction happens, if nobody bids, the bank gets title to the house. If someone does bid, they get title to the house. But the title is in the homeowner's name until the auction date, and that is your and my window to contact these owners and buy the houses. All right, now let's see what it says here. It says in Chapter 13 cases, the trustee must not make any further payments on the account of the Movance secured claim after entry of this order. The secured portion of the Movance claim is deemed withdrawn upon entry of this order without prejudice to Movance right to file an amended unsecured claim for any deficiency. Absent a stipulation or order to the contrary, Movant must return to the trustee any payments received from the trustee on account of Movant's secured claim. What that's saying is that if you see, when people file Chapter 13, they have to pay their money to the bankruptcy court. You know, if you get a paycheck, you give it to the court, and the court makes your payments for you. So this is just saying that now that this document is filed, then the house is no longer under bankruptcy law. So therefore, no more payments should be made by the bankruptcy trustee. Okay, so unless these things are checked, we don't have to, you know, deal with it, okay? And there's the document. Now, I do want to, and this is proof that it was served to all the creditors, all the, you know, everybody involved gets a copy of this. But it says order granting motion from relief. And see, that's what we're looking for. Because you and I showed you the list of all the bankruptcies on Realty Track. I showed you all the bankruptcies on LPS. But these don't mean a hill of beans, if that makes sense. Here's all the bankruptcies here. But until this order granting relief from automatic stay, so you and I know the secret. You know, do you know that most people, most investors, when someone files bankruptcy, they walk away because they don't pursue the house anymore because they don't think they can buy it. But now, because of bankruptcy law, once this thing is filed, then the homeowner does have the right to sell the house, so why not send them a letter? Okay. Now, I do want to show you the motion that the bank files because they do all of our homework for us. They tell us how much the balance of the loan is. They tell us how much the back payments are. They tell us how much the value of the property is. So they've done all your work for them. That's why I want to show you one of those documents. Now, the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go over here. I was actually doing some property. I was looking for hidden markets in Gardena yesterday. And so I'm going to put in Gardena. And see if there's any bankruptcies there. Now, this shows one in Gardena because I'm on the auctions tab. Now, watch what happens if I go to the notice of default tab. There's more people in bankruptcy under the notice of default. So let's find an owner's name and let's do the research. Okay. And this homeowner is named David Caldwell. Okay. So now we go back to where we can enter in his name. Is my audio working good, Lisa?
Still sounds good. Feel free to use the bar on the side if anybody has any questions too.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Let's see. I'm looking for. Aha. David Theodore Caldwell is the guy we're looking for. And there it is. And look, he just filed March 12th. So looking at his case, there's a chance the motion for relief hasn't been filed. See, remember that other case we looked at? It's been going on since 2012, and it had lots of documents. Because this case was just filed a month ago, they're still, they haven't got around to, the bank hasn't filed the motion for relief of stay yet. So here's how the process works, and we don't need to open any of these documents because they don't really mean a lot to us. But what it is, he filed on March 12th, and here's a declaration where he filed electronically. You can't file bankruptcy unless you get a certificate of credit counseling. You actually have to go to a credit counseling agency and say, hey, do I qualify for bankruptcy? Because if they can't work your deal out, then they give you a diploma that says, hey, you get to file bankruptcy. You're so messed up. All right. So here's the debtor has to fill out a certificate of employment income, has to give his social security number, and see, they shouldn't show all this on these sites, but and there's a certificate of notice. They're going to have a meeting of the creditors. But anyway, let's move on to another one because this one's too new. But if you were to pursue knowing, I mean, you could actually keep David's house and name and address on file and check this website periodically looking for that automatic stay to be lifted. So therefore, you can predetermine those. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Gardena, and we're going to check the next one, and we're going to process it.
Tony, question for you. When you're negotiating with the homeowners that are in bankruptcy, what's in it for them, I guess, to sell you the property? Obviously, if they're not going to see any upside on the equity, then how are you convincing them to sell to you?
Okay, that's a very good question. I'm glad you asked. Well, you think about it. If the homeowner asked me that question, what's in it for me, here's what I would tell them. I'd say, now listen, you've already got a bankruptcy. If you let the bank auction your house off, you're going to have a foreclosure and a bankruptcy on your credit. And a lot of times they'll say, my credit is shot. I don't care about my credit. But I say, listen, you should care, because if you can avoid getting a foreclosure, right now all you have is a bankruptcy, and you're going to get the opportunity to establish credit within 2 years. You're going to have car dealerships wanting to sell you cars. You're going to have credit card companies offering you credit cards within 2 years. But if you have a foreclosure and a bankruptcy, you're really messed up for the next 10 years. And I try to pump them up. I say, listen, this too shall pass. Within, you never know what your life is going to be like in 2 years. You may meet the woman or the man of your dreams. You may want to get married to someone else, and especially in California. But you might want to get married, and you're going to hinder your new spouse from being able to get a home together. I've seen that happen, Lisa, where people's lives got better, and they get married, and then their spouse finds out, I should have checked her credit before this because we can't get a home because you have a foreclosure. You see, it's easy if you just have a bankruptcy to rebuild your credit and still get loans and houses and cars. But when you have a foreclosure, that is the worst, because in my opinion, that if you walk away from the roof over your head, you do not look good in a creditor's eyes, and nobody wants to loan you money, especially to buy a home if they know that if times get tough, you're just going to walk away. It's always, so that's what I tell the homeowners.
Do you know if there's a difference, or have you had the question between Chapter 13 versus a 7 with respect to their credit and rebuilding their credit?
Okay, testing. I know mine is still working according to the VU meter, but I lost you right in the middle of that question.
We're all back now, I think.
Okay, yeah,
yes. My question was whether there's a difference in the time it takes to rebuild their credit if they file a Chapter 13 versus a 7.
Well, a Chapter 13 usually goes on for 3 years. It's like a reestablishment. You actually pay your paychecks to the bankruptcy court for a 3-year period, and that they set up a plan to try to get your debtors paid off in 3 years. Now, if you were one of the debtors and I owed you $500 a month, the bankruptcy court would say, now, Lisa, we're only going to pay you $100 a month for the next 3 years. So a Chapter 13 is usually a 36-month plan. A Chapter 7 can be very quick, like, as little as 3 months, because Chapter 7 is just saying, hey, take all my assets, sell them, do whatever you want, wipe out all my debt, and let me start clean. Now, I will tell you that if you own a home, you are allowed in a bankruptcy to wipe out all your debts, but you're allowed to do what's called reaffirm your mortgage. So if you can prove that you can make the payments, then you might get to reaffirm, and you can wipe out all your other debts, but you get to keep your home if you can prove you can make the payments. Now, that only happens 1 out of every 10 people that file. And so it's very rare that it happens, but just remember, if anybody on this call ever gets in a situation where they have to file bankruptcy, just remember to find out about what's called reaffirmation. Okay, so I want to do that one. There's at least one where I can show you the actual, what the bank side of it says. So I don't remember which one that was. This is Otis Robinson. I was just sort of playing around with these. I think it was this one, LaSalle Avenue in Gardena. And the guy's name is Nicholas Balbus. Actually, you know what? That's not it either. It's the one that was over in the auction category over here. I think the guy's name was George Williams. So I'm going to click on auction. And it's thinking. There we go. George Williams. Okay. So I'm going back to Pacer. Let me put in Williams, George, run query. Whoa, George R. Williams is what we're looking for. Did I pass it? Tell you what, I'm going to go back here and put in his initial. Oh, no match found.
Do you have to put the R in the middle name there?
Oh, I didn't even see a space for the middle name. Oh, it's way over here. That's why I didn't see it. All right, here we are. It must be this one because it was filed here. Now remember, folks, I did tell you this site is very valuable, but remember, the only time you want to open a document is if you see the order on motion for relief from stay. You see, I don't see one here. So therefore, it's not going to cost me a dime to look at this case, you see. So be very careful about opening documents because, you know, sometimes documents can be, 100 pages and you don't want to get a big bill for nothing, So, and sometimes it'll give you a warning. You see all these buttons up here, this thing called reports. I know that there is a way to find out all the Chapter 7s that were filed, all the Chapter 13s, and you can actually get a list, but it's better to use something like Realty Track or that site, that LPS site, because you never know how many. If you click on Chapter 7, it may bring up 10,000 of them, and you got to pay for all of those leads, and it's very expensive. So don't be playing around with this site. It's just a warning. And they give you warnings too. I don't know if we've seen one tonight, but they say, hey, you're going to be billed. Now, like I say, my bill runs probably $4 or $5 per quarter, and they don't even bill me. I don't even have to pay it because unless it reaches $15, they don't even want you to pay it yet because they don't want to have to, just take away the credit card fees or something. It's just not worth it to them. Okay, I'm going to have to do something here. I got to go back. I actually do have to get rid of the R, because now I remember how I found a certain document that I have to repeat that process. I am actually looking for the words Eddie Tehad. If I see somewhere in here, I saw something that said Eddie Tehad, and I opened it, and it had the documents I wanted to show you guys. There it is, right here. Chapter 7, and it has the motion for relief from the bank, and we're going to read one. You see this? Motion for relief from stay. And that's not the right one. There's another one down here, I think. Okay. Now I can show you what they look like. Oh, that's the order granting motion. That was the answer. You see, in California, I guess all the motions for relief contain like 22 or 23 pages, you see. Well, I'll show you one. I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like. But this motion for relief, it's actually 22 pages. I'm going to go ahead and pay just to teach for teaching purposes. And it says notice of motion and motion for relief from the automatic stay for order confirming that the automatic stay does not apply. So it says this motion is being heard on a regular notice to a local rule. That doesn't have anything for us. I want to get down to the parts where it shows you the balance of the loan, and look, it says the bankruptcy case was filed in bad faith to delay, hinder, or defraud the bank, the move-in, which is the bank. So that's what they're doing is, you see, when a bank files a motion to get a house released out of the bankruptcy, there's really only two reasons they can get the house released. Number one is lack of equity. They claim there's not enough equity to benefit the other creditors. Or the other one is lack of adequate protection, meaning the house is declining in value. Let us go ahead and auction it while it still has value, which that was working good from 2007 through 2010. Or lack of adequate protection also means that the bank is not collecting any money whatsoever, and they say, you know, we need to auction off our collateral right now because it's just deteriorating in value. The house could be getting vandalized or whatever. But anyway, so they're using this as a reason to get the house released, that it was filed in bad faith to hinder or defraud the move-in, which I'm sure 90% of the bankruptcies are really to delay the foreclosure.
Tony, we have a question. Can you share how we know how much to offer the homeowner once they know they're in bankruptcy and there's a motion for relief for stay?
Okay, well, what you got to do is you got to know what the balance of the loan is, and that's what I was looking for on this page, because they usually do a lot of work for you. They tell you the balance of the loan, they tell you everything, but you see, you have to basically offer at least the balance of the loan, unless the balance of the loan is higher than the value of the property. Then we have to do a short sale offer, and that means we have to get it approved by their bank. Okay, and hey, I just noticed something too. This is actually an investor who filed bankruptcy. See, Wood Property Investments LLC. No, actually, that's the bank. I see. You see, that's the move-ant. Okay? So, actually, somebody must have done some owner financing and sold the house to a home buyer, and they quit making payments and filed bankruptcy. So, this investor is trying to claim that they filed in bad faith. But anyway, all right. So let's talk more about the offers.
We have another quick question. Would it make sense in this case to try to buy the note from the bank and proceed with the sale as the beneficiary?
To try to buy the note? Yes, you could try that. Yes, you could just try to buy the note directly from the bank instead of dealing with the homeowner. But then you're going to, have to just, you've got to evict the homeowner or give cash for keys or something. But you could try that, especially if it's a short sale situation. But I can tell you from experience that a lot of them that I've dealt with had to be submitted to the bank for a short sale. And the bank was so much easier to work with in a bankruptcy situation than they are in a non-bankruptcy situation. I don't know why, but I guess they're just scared that they may break some kind of rules or something. So it seems like they cooperate better because, it is against the law. I mean, you have to tread lightly if a homeowner is in bankruptcy. The bank has to, they're protected, and you're not allowed to pursue or, collect from someone. And the bank gets a little worried about that until this motion has been granted. And then I'm sure they still tread a little bit lightly because a homeowner could still claim harassment or something. Okay, now just let me give you an idea of all you have to do, and I'm going to be covering a lot of this on Saturday. On Saturday, I am going to let me minimize this page because I'm going to be talking about making offers. And if the house is not listed with any kind of real estate agency or brokerage, then all you need is a purchase and sale agreement. Now, there is another thing when I talk about writing contracts on Saturday. There's no way we could talk about it tonight. But on Saturday, if a home does have equity and it's actually in foreclosure, there is a California civil code that says we have to use a California equity purchase agreement. And that's if they're under default and they have equity. And over the last several years, there wasn't any equity in these homes if people were in foreclosure. So you actually didn't have to use the California Equity Purchase Agreement. Now, I'm going to have a blank copy, and I'm going to teach you how to fill one out Saturday. But if it's just a hidden market property and it's not, and it has no equity or whatever, you could use just a standard purchase and sale agreement. So I'm just going to give you an idea of what that looks like, the one I use. Okay, so I just use a contract for sale of realty. It has clauses built right in that says that if the title doesn't check out, it's a kind of an escape clause. It says it has to have good title. It also says that once we make an offer and get a signed contract, is like this is an all-cash offer, buyers purchasing the property in as-is condition, sale to include all existing fixtures and appliances, and this offer is subject to the approval of an inspection by the purchaser. So we'll be going more over that on Saturday. So when you make an offer on a bankruptcy property, it's just like making an offer on anything. The first thing you got to do is know how much is owed against the property. So let's say that the house, and I know that we're not going to talk in 500s or 1 million just for training purposes. So right now we're saying that the house, if it's worth $100,000 after repair value, and the balance of the loan is 50, then we're just going to make an offer on a purchase and sale contract directly to the owner, and we're just going to set up a closing at the title company, and the title company will get the payoff from the bank for the HUD-1 statement, and we show up in closing, and it's just like any other type of transaction. But let's say that the house is worth $100,000 after repair value, and the balance of the loan is $120,000. Obviously, we don't want to pay $120,000 for it, so we're going to offer, say, $70,000 on a short sale, and then we're going to submit it to the bank after the owner signs it. So the owner has to agree to sell it and agree to sign the contract, and then we're going to send it to the bank, and we're going to have a cover letter that has the bankruptcy case number. We're going to put in there that we know that the automatic stay was lifted, and that we would like to buy the house from the homeowner. We're under contract, and we've submitted it to the bank for their approval. Okay, so, and like I say, I'll actually go through filling out contracts and stuff on Saturday, because we pretty much covered this week. We've covered pre-foreclosure, we've covered probates, we've covered bankruptcy properties, and so Saturday we're going to really focus on the hidden market, because the reason we have been teaching you all those, the pre-foreclosure, the probate, the bankruptcies, is because a lot of these hidden market properties we find fall under one of those three categories. So it's good to know the process for all three of those. So Saturday we're really going to focus on how to, how to buy these hidden market properties. And all right, so I think we've got just a few minutes left. I say we concentrate on questions and answers. This would be the time to ask a lot of questions and let us answer them. And you can jump in there too, Lisa, if you want to answer any or help, So anyway, do we have any new questions yet?
Let's see, I've got a couple coming in right now. Will probate be covered in depth on Saturday?
Well, were they there last night? We covered it pretty much in depth in detail. The only thing we didn't cover about probate yesterday is just how to write the offers, and we're going to cover that Saturday.
Some people are asking whether this webinar is going to be posted online, and there will be a link made available. All I need to do is get it posted up to Facebook, and then I will forward out the link to, posted to YouTube, and I'll get the link forwarded out both to my list as well as Tony's. So it should be available tomorrow.
Okay.
And question 2, how can you listen to last night? Last night was a live training session, so that was not recorded. Here's a question for you. Is probate, Tony, is probate recorded anywhere that we can go back and watch it? I'm sorry, that was related to me. No, that the probate class was not recorded. Are there any other questions for Tony?
I will be covering some probate on Saturday, you know, because we're going to get into the contract writing.